Hello and welcome, class 541. Yes, sir, we are progressing. 541. We're beginning the last 60 classes. Maybe we'll continue after that, but I don't know. No promises. El que avisa no es traidor. All right, and I'm telling you that I don't know if we'll continue to class 601, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because really, from class 1 to class 600 is plenty of material for you to learn to speak English very well. You don't need more. Of course, if you enjoy the programs simply because you enjoy listening to me and watching me, that's great. And maybe we can continue to class number 6,000. But for your English, if your priority is to speak English well and to understand English well, the first 600 programs are more than enough. Plenty. They're more than enough. All right, vocabulary. Let's continue from yesterday. Categoría, list number 22 on page 108. Okay, categoría, category. Fíjate, category. Competitivo, competitive. We live in a competitive world. Yes, and I'm a competitive man and Marta's a competitive girl. We live in a competitive world and Marta's a competitive girl. Creo que era Madonna. It was different. Now, it wasn't competitive, Marta. We live in a material world, and Madonna is a material girl. We live in a competitive world, and Marta is a competitive girl. Considerado, considerate. Yo soy persona muy considerada, que sí. I'm a very considerate person. Are you a considerate person? Is Marta a considerate person? Yes, she is. She's a considerate person. All of us, all three of us, you, Marta, and me, we are all considerate people. We can consider ourselves considerate. Me considero considerado. I consider myself considerate. Abarrotado, crowded. Crowded, hasta los topes, de bote en bote. Crowded, lleno, crowded. Crowd is muchedumbre o multitud. A crowd of people. Pero crowded, pronunciación, crowded, no digáis crowdy. Crowded, this room isn't crowded. It's just Marta and me. It's only Marta and me. Economista, economist. Economist, are you an economist? I'm not an economist. Do we need economists? Are economists important? Are economists positive or negative for the economy? Sometimes I think economists are negative for the economy. Too many economists. Yes, if the balloon is going up, la economía mundial o española, como un globo que sube con la cajita debajo de, with three people, myself, Marta, and an economist, and we're going up. La economía española sube. The economy is going up, but whoa, wait. It's not going up. What shall we do? Well, we'll throw out the economist and it'll start going up again to reduce the weight. So we'll throw out the economist. Archivador, filing cabinet. Se usa menos, bueno, los archivadores físicos. To file, escrite file, has several meanings. One meaning is to file your nails. Did you file your nails yesterday, Marta? You did. Marta filed her nails with a nail file. This looks like a pencil, but it's really a nail file. And I'm filing my nails and singing. I'm filing my nails. A file es una lima para limar. Industrial incluso, a file. But a file también es un archivo. Una carpeta de archivo también es a file. Cabinet, chito cabinet, viene del mismo raíz que la palabra gabinete. Cabinet in English has two meanings. One is armario, cabinet, y otro es el gabinete ministerial. You know, for example, in the United States, the Secretary of Defense, the Secretary of State, the Secretary of the Interior, that's the cabinet. The President of the United States has a cabinet. Here you say Consejo de Ministros, los ministros. el equipo ministerial. But there we say the cabinet. But a cabinet también es un tipo armario. A filing cabinet, literalmente armario de archivar, filing cabinet. And you put files in the filing cabinet. And of course, in computer technology, we have file, un archivo, un fichero, we have files. Filing cabinet, archivador. Filing cabinet, se me deshace el libro, Marta. Filing cabinet. I use it too much. I use it too much. Sabor, flavor. 37 different flavors for ice cream. You know, it's interesting about ice cream. El helado. ¿Cómo se dice yo chillo? I scream. Tú chillas. You scream. Todos chillamos. We all scream para helado, para un helado. Un helado. I scream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream. Yeah. I scream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream. I like ice cream, but I only like chocolate and vanilla. Chocolate and vanilla. And it's interesting. If you ask a person, normally you ask a person, what's your favorite flavor of ice cream? 50% of the people say chocolate. But then you go to a restaurant and they never have chocolate. Or you go to a special ice cream place. They have everything except normal chocolate. Chocolate. Or you go to a supermarket and they have a lot of interesting, sophisticated ice creams. But I prefer simply chocolate. Chocolate. Huh? 4 syllables in Spanish. In English, 2. Chocolate. Chocolate. It. Como it. It. It is a pencil. It. Chocolate. 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 Cha. 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 Bailar cha. Chocolate. Chocolate. All right. Sabor is flavor. The flavor. Saborear is to taste. To taste. Catar. Un buen vino is to taste. A wine taste. To taste. You taste something in order to feel the flavor. To experience the flavor. El sabor. Incendio forestal. Well, forest fire. O sea, fuego de forestas. Forest fire. Luna llena. A full moon. The full moon. Yes, it's interesting. All my life, I have seen the moon. You know, how many times? I've seen the full moon 1,000 times. But every time I see the full moon, I'm impressed. You too, right? It's interesting object. It's an interesting object. It appeals to our sensibility. The moon. Yeah. Blue moon, full moon, luna llena. La luna hoy está llena. Sounds like it's a full moon. Full moon. Gobernador is governor. The governor of the state of Texas. The governor of Oklahoma. The governor. In Spain, you don't have governors. No hay gobernadores in España. You have presidentes autonómicos, etc., but you don't have governors. Presidentes de las diputaciones, alcaldes, but you don't have gobernador. Hay un gobernador civil y gobernador militar. But I'm not sure now if the figure of the gobernador civil exists. During the Franco regime, yes. The civil governor. Governor, en vista de los problemas, in view of. It's the same in English as in Spanish. In view of the current problems, in view of the situation, we have decided, in view of these factors, in view of, en vista de, indifferent. Richard, are you religious? Maybe. Are you atheist? Mateo, yo, atheist? No. Well, are you agnostic? No, not necessarily. Are you a believer? Maybe. Are you indifferent? Maybe. Richard, define yourself. I'm not going to define, this is an English class. This isn't a debate about religion or about faith or about belief. Belief, creencia. Beliefs, creencias. Faith, la fe. Faith, religion. Zurdo, left-handed. I'm not left-handed. I'm right-handed. Are you left-handed? No. No, Marta's right-handed. Are you left-handed or right-handed? Left-handed. O sea, sustantivo adjetivizado. O sea, adjetivizar lo que es la mano. O sea, izquierda manada. O sea, manado, de mano. Left-handed, right-handed. Open-minded, close-minded. Hard-headed. Yeah, cabezota, cabezón. Hard-headed. All right. Left-handed, right-handed. Where are we? Zurdo, left-handed. Paranoico, paranoid. I'm paranoid. This studio gives me the creeps. This studio gives me the creeps. Excuse me? I said this studio gives me the creeps. What are the creeps? Me da los repeluces, decimos en inglés. O sea, me da repelús. Se me pone la carne de gallina. You know, my skin, I get goosebumps. Goosebumps. Que son carne de ganso. Goosebumps. Goose pimples. Goosebumps. This studio gives me the creeps. Yeah, I'm paranoid. Paranoico, paranoid means muy asustado. Paranoid. Prestigio, prestige. Como el famoso barco en Galicia, el Prestige. You remember Prestige? Nunca más. Prestige. Prestige, prestigious. Prestige. Demostración o prueba, proof. Yo quiero, demuéstrame que es verdad. Prove it to me. Prove to me that it's true. No se dice prove me. Prove to me that it's true. I want proof. I want proof is quiero pruebas fehacientes, que demuestre que es verdad. I want proof. Proof. Dudoso. Questionable, questionable. Questionable or doubtful. Questionable, doubtful. There's a difference. Questionable is estás cuestionando. Doubtful is que tienes, no crees del todo. All right. Questionable. Pescado y marisco, seafood. Seafood, o sea, comida de mar. Mar, comida. Seafood, seafood, seafood. No es ver comida. Seafood. Seafood is tanto pescado como marisco. Todo. Everything. Seafood. Especialista is a specialist. I am a specialist. No digas, I am an specialist. I'm a specialist. I'm a specialist in teaching English, and I'm a specialist in learning English. Yes, and I'm a specialist in using pencils to teach English. Yes, never in the history of the world has a group of pencils been so impactful and influential in the teaching of a language. It's probably true. Never in the history of the world has a group of pencils been so powerful and so important in the teaching of a language. Especialista, specialist, specialist, specialist. Vale la pena. It's worth it. To be worth it. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Curiosa forma de expresarlo. Is it, es ello valedero de ello. No tiene sentido gramatical mucho, pero se usa a diario. It's not worth it. No merece la pena. No vale la pena. It's not worth it. Learning English? Richard, what's your opinion? Is it worth it? What? To buy the books? Well, it depends. How important is it for you to learn English well? Oh, it's life and death. It's a question of life and death. Well, if it's a question of life and death, which I doubt, but nevertheless, if for you it's a question of life and death, you must learn English well, then buy the books. It's worth it. The books are worth it. This book, vocabulary book, is worth it. The other books are worth it. It's worth it. It's not worth it. No vale la pena. It's not worth it. Forget it. It's not worth it. Realizar. To perform. Bueno, realizar. Yes. To perform is rendir. Una máquina rinde bien. El rendimiento de una máquina is the performance. To perform also is actuar. Right now I'm performing. I'm teaching, but at the same time I'm performing. Yes, to perform. Ahora, realizar mis tareas is to perform my tasks, to perform my duties, mis deberes, realizar mis deberes de persona, de ciudadano, to perform my duties, to perform a survey, realizar una encuesta. aunque decimos más to conduct, como conducir. To conduct a survey. To perform. Publicar is to publish. Publish. Casa editorial is publishing house. A publishing house publishes books and other publications. Cambiar is to switch, to change. To change. Aunque to switch, I think for Spanish speakers, it's easier to pronounce switch than change. Yes, I'm holding a pencil in my right hand. I'm going to switch to my left hand. Now I have switched. Now I have changed. I recommend change. But if it's easier for you to say switch, cambiar de lado. Tú allí, yo aquí. Let's change sides. Let's switch sides. Switch. Yes, let's switch. Yes, we'll switch. Like that. And now switch back. And now switch back again. And finally, switch back to the original. Okay, to switch. Let's switch. All right, so two more. Traducir is to translate. O sea, translación. To translate. To translate. Traducir. To translate. To translate this book. This is a translation list. To translate. To translate is also used figuratively, like in Spanish. Esto se traduce en una nueva oportunidad. Se traduce en, de forma figurada. Translates into. Translate into. To translate. And finally, dispuesto. No estoy dispuesto a continuar. I'm not willing. Will is voluntad. Como el futuro, I will go. Yo iré es yo voluntad ir. Willing is dispuesto. No estoy dispuesto a admitir. No estoy dispuesto a admitir tu ausencia en clase. I'm not willing. Estoy dispuesto a hacerlo. I'm willing to do it. Willing. All right. That was list number 22. I forgot to mark my place. All right. Shall we continue? Shall we? Shall we continue? Paragraphs. 198 paragraphs, my friend. The famous book of 198 paragraphs. Right here. That's me, by the way. That's me. 190 paragraphs. Paragraph 65. 65. Are you ready? There are a lot of things that I like to do in my life, in my spare time. There are a lot of things I like to do in my spare time. One thing I simply can't understand are these people who die of boredom after 2 years of retirement. I'm afraid that when I retire, I won't have enough time in the day to do all the things I like to do. I'm afraid. Me temo. I'm afraid. There are a lot of things I like to do in my spare time. Yes, there are a lot of things I like to do in my spare time. All right. I always prefer to use this pencil. But if the point breaks, I have a spare pencil. That one. So if I have a problem with this pencil, I have a spare. Spare es con tu spade. Spare tire. Rueda de repuesto. Spade, tire, spare tire. A spare tire. Spare. Now, spare time is el tiempo extra que tienes. Tiempo de repuesto. Who's that tiempo extra? Spare time. I have to work. I have responsibilities. But then I have what you call tiempo libre. We have free time. But we say spare time. In my spare time se dice más, incluso creo yo, que es free time. No se dice free time. Hay muchas cosas que me gusta hacer en mi tiempo libre. Disponible, digamos. There are a lot of things I like to do in my free time. Okay, it's correct English. But we say spare time. There are a lot of things I like to do in my spare time. One thing I simply can't understand are these people who die of boredom after 2 years of retirement. I'm afraid that when I retire, I won't have enough time in the day to do all the things I like to do. All right. There are a lot of things I like to do in my spare time. One thing I simply can't understand are these people, esta gente, who die of boredom after 2 years of retirement. Yeah. Some people don't adapt well to retirement. My father, really. Well, my father adapted well to retirement. My father adapted well to retirement. But the things he was planning to do in retirement, he ended up giving up. He ended up stopping. My father wanted to play golf. Finally, when he retires, he'll have enough time to play golf. But then when he retired, he had all the time in the world to play golf. And it became less interesting because he wasn't stealing time like before to play golf. So some people, alguna gente se muere de aburrimiento a los dos, después de 2 años de jubilación, de retiro. One thing I simply can't understand, es que no lo acabo de entender. One thing I simply can't understand are these people who die of boredom after 2 years of retirement. After 2 years of retirement, these people die of boredom. Boredom is aburrimiento. Boring is aburrido. De ser aburrido. Bored is estar aburrido. Estás aburrido ahora porque yo soy aburrido. You're bored because I'm boring. You're bored because this class is boring. You are suffering boredom because you're bored. A person who is bored is a person who is experiencing or suffering boredom. Boredom, boredom, como king, rey, y reino es kingdom. D-O-M al final. Kingdom. Kingdom. Free is libre. Libertad, freedom. Freedom. Kingdom. Boredom. Hay varios sustantivos con D-O-M que tienen su adjetivo y luego se añade D-O-M. King, kingdom. Free, freedom. Bored, aburrido, boredom. One thing I simply can't understand are these people who die of boredom after 2 years of retirement. Only 2 years and already they're bored. I don't know what to do. ¿Qué hago con mi vida? Yeah, some people retire early. Some people take early retirement. Here in Spain, what they call la jubilación anticipada, which we call early temprano retiro, early retirement. And they retire at age 57. And they live until 87. That's 30 years. And you're bored? You're suffering boredom? I hope not. I hope not. So one thing I simply can't understand are these people who die of boredom after 2 years of retirement. I'm afraid that when I retire, I won't have enough time in the day. No tendré tiempo suficiente en el día. Horas suficientes. I won't have enough time in the day to do all the things I like to do. Yeah. Well, what things do you like to do, Richard? Well, I like to teach English. I like to sharpen pencils. I like to play the piano. I like to play the guitar. I like to compose music. I like to read. I like to watch TV. I like to take walks. I like to go to the gym. I like to have good lunches and good dinners and breakfasts. I like to cook. There's so many things I like to do that I'm afraid that me temo que cuando yo me jubile, I'm afraid that when I retire, cuando yo me jubile, en inglés decimos cuando yo retiro o cuando yo retire o me retire, vamos. When I retire, no es verbo reflexivo como en español, jubilarse o retirarse. When I retire, y eso es el futuro, cuando yo me jubile en el futuro. Because I haven't retired yet, but when I retire, no usamos subjuntivo como en español aquí. Cuando yo me jubilo, iré, no sé, en español, cuando yo me jubile. En inglés, cuando yo me jubilo. When I retire, I'm afraid that when I retire, I won't have enough time in the day. Así se lo dice. I won't have enough time in the day to do all the things I like to do. Yeah. Maybe. I'm not sure. So, one more time. There are a lot of things I like to do in my spare time. There are a lot of things I like to do in my spare time. One thing I simply can't understand are these people who die of boredom after 2 years of retirement. I'm afraid that when I retire, I won't have enough hours, I won't have enough time in the day to do all the things I like to do. Yeah, maybe. You never know until you retire. It could be that my life will be like my father. That when I have 16 hours a day to do things I like to do, I will stop liking them. I will no longer like them as much as before. Why? Because it's not leisure time. Leisure time is tiempo de ocio. It's the only time I have is leisure time. But I don't know. We'll see. See you in the next class.